Welcome to the Berks Homes Podcast, the business of building homes. I am Ben, and I am here with a guest today, Jess Bryant from our legal compliance department. Jess, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So we have a bunch of questions, but I want to start out by asking you your previous experience. How did you get here?
Mm-hmm.
How many years have you been working here?
I've been working here for 3, going on 4. I'll be 4 in March.
Okay.
So I was a paralegal for 10 years.
Wow.
Give or take, with a bar exam thrown in there.
Yeah.
Different types of law. Hated law in the beginning. And about 5 years in, I started working for children and youth.
Okay.
And fell in love with law again because I felt like I could do something good. Up until then, it was like litigation. And I was like, oh, I feel like a bad guy all the time.
So were you on the litigation side that people were getting sued or suing? Both.
So
okay.
a lot of firms, you're either or, depending on what you're doing. I did like debt collection, insurance defense. So it just depends.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fun. I learned a lot though. And I learned a lot of what I didn't like and what I didn't want to do. And then, found children and youth, fell in love, decided to go to law school. Mm-hmm. So did that part-time weekends. So I'd work full-time during the week, go to law school on the weekends. And then we ended up moving here. That was all in like the Lehigh Valley, Poconos area. That's where I'm from. And had to move out this way in Morgantown because my husband got a job in between New Jersey and Maryland. So we were trying to find like a good middle ground that we could afford. Found Morgantown and bought a Berks home.
Yes.
And so I found Berks Homes through that. And I was working at a different law firm doing real estate. And a paralegal job opened up here. And I was like, maybe that would work. And I mean, I live 5 minutes down the road. So little perk. But also, once I was building my home here, I mean this genuinely, everybody loved like the process that we dealt with. Like I remember going to selections with Angie and she was like so nice and seemed happy to be here even though it was like 7 a.m. and was just like showing us cabinets and like just genuinely everybody walked in the door, said hi. And I was like, that seems like kind of a nice place.
Yeah.
Like nobody seemed to hate it. Everybody we interacted with was like, no, it's like pretty nice. I was like, I'll try. And then it worked out and I got the job here, started as a paralegal. Graduated law school, passed the bar, and now I'm the attorney. So
you did not anticipate being an attorney when you went to undergrad?
No, I went for criminal justice.
Okay.
Didn't know what I wanted to do. Kind of liked that area of the world, but with criminal justice, you're mostly a cop.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be a cop.
Sure.
I'm not built to be a cop.
Right.
I would be terrible at it. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So when I graduated, I started just with a law firm because it was something to fill time. Right. And I liked it. I like law. I just wanted to be good.
You had to find the right spot.
Yeah.
So did you take any real estate law classes in undergrad?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they make you take property.
Yeah.
So I took property and I took contracts. And I found in law school, I really enjoyed those 2 courses a lot.
Yeah.
So I took more real estate as electives. So I took construction law and I took some like commercial litigation classes that they offered. But I was also limited because on weekends they only offer so many classes. So
Yeah.
So there were only so many options. If I was a full-time student, I'd have a lot more. But I found what I could and took what I could. And I really definitely enjoyed that route. So I figured out in law school that was kind of an area because it wasn't. You could be a harsher side if you wanted to, but there were a lot of routes in that area where you could just help people the whole time. Like you can make a career of helping people.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Well, and it's also interesting, like you said, sometimes the best way to find out where you want to be is to find out where you don't want to be. You know, that you don't like A, B, and C, and then you back into, something that you really enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because early on when I started law school and when I first started my legal career, my husband's stepmom is an attorney and she did contracts for banks for a long time. And when he first talked to me about going to law school and everything, I was like, I'll never do contracts. Everybody dreams of being like the big shot litigator.
Yeah.
The
Right.
glamorous.
That's what you think of.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll never do contracts. And then the more I learned about contracts, the more I was like, I really like
it.
I really like reading and working on contracts.
So do you think there's a consistent skill set necessary to be in on the legal side of real estate? Is it like you need to be detailed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a consistent characteristic.
Incredibly detailed. You have to be willing to really look at every word and the wording. And you have to be flexible, though, too, because contracts are funky in that it's always a give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be so rigid in your values or what you want it to be that you will never change it, because everything's a little bit different. So it's a little bit different than your litigation, because a lot of times you go into those thinking like, well, this is my argument, this is my path.
The interpretation.
This you already have figured out what it said.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas early in contracts, you're looking more at what can it say? How can we maybe give here but take here? So, but yeah, details through and through.
Yeah. You're crafting a narrative almost
Mm-hmm.
with the contract. When you're able to create a contract, you're working with maybe another attorney
Mm-hmm.
on the other side, and you're able to capture what matters the most to both parties,
Mm-hmm.
and then just formalize it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Right.
it is storytelling in a more boring way, but it is saying, like, for us it's usually a piece of land, and it's okay, we have this land, we want to turn it into these homes. So what number does that look like? What's your price point? What are maybe some hurdles we can guess are going to come up ahead of time? How do we protect ourselves then? And where are we willing to say, okay, if this comes up, then we'll do this?
You try to know those things going into it, right?
Yeah, and there are some we know every time. There are very few that come up with mega surprises. A lot of times it's stuff that we can anticipate. It's just a matter of doing our due diligence and knowing that exists in the world and preparing for it.
We're the ones usually presenting
Mm-hmm.
the deal, right?
Oh, yeah, every time.
Yeah.
Very rarely do deals come presented. It's
with a contract.
Yeah, it's
we're
usually
the ones kind of crafting that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing you look for when you're reviewing? So, to take a step back, we have our land acquisition people. They're constantly proposing these different scenarios with us as the owners, and with their leaders. And when you get I would say maybe a letter of intent,
Mm-hmm.
what's the first thing that you look for?
Yeah, so we start super small. It goes back to details. So the first thing I'm looking at is your owner your actual owner? Is your zoning right? Is your address and your parcel right? Just those, that like first 2 lines.
Right.
Is all of that accurate? Because if that's not accurate, the whole thing is thrown off. You need that to be spot on, because we've gotten somewhere it says one person's an owner, but they're really not, and they're in the process of buying it, and that's a different type of contract. That's different language.
Right.
So we're looking at all of that up front to make sure that all of that lines up. And that's what, after we confirm that, which 9 times out of 10 is spot on, then we zoom out. And that's when I start to look at, okay, you said this price per lot and this total purchase price, does your math add up? Or you said this amount of days in this section, does that align down the road with your closing date? If they need 180 days to get site work done, does our closing date match that?
Right.
Is your takedown match the number of lots? And you kind of start to dig into that. And then from there, we take it even further. And I like to look at it and go, does this work with our system? Like, can we track this?
Oh, right. Yeah, you want it to be not simple, but simplified enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of triggers and dates we need to know that are going to get confusing and maybe get lost? And then that's where we run into risk, because if we're not tracking things, then it all falls apart down the road.
It's true.
So, Yeah, it's all of that stuff. And then my last favorite thing to look at is I always like to do a Google search of the property because you never know what's going to come up.
Oh, right. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
You guys just like to know as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
yeah.
just keep it in your back pocket.
Oh, yeah. At
for
all
everything.
Times. Yeah.
What is the role that you see for your department at Berks?
We very much, it's twofold because it depends on what kind of thing we're working on. But I like to think that we kind of poke holes in the boat, so to speak, and see if the boat still floats.
Right.
So we like to know it all and put it all in there and say, okay, if this is all of the information, what can go wrong where? And does this thing still move forward?
Right.
So it's just kind of compiling all the details and making sure it all makes sense and that it flows, because it's very easy to get lost in the bias. And that's not against anybody doing their job. That's their job. Like, acquisition is supposed to acquire. So it makes sense that they're laser focused on that. So I like to think that we're the bigger picture sometimes. As much as we're in the details, it's in the details you get the big picture.
Right.
So we dig into it all, and then so that we can zoom it all out and say, okay, if A, B, and C goes wrong, this whole thing falls apart.
Is it fair to say that land acquisition in their role, they might tend to be a little optimistic about everything? I would say that's the case.
Yeah. And a lot of people are, and I get it because they get excited. There's this, property, and it's filling a pipeline that they need and meeting goals. So a lot of departments get excited about their work.
Well, sure.
So, I mean, we do too. I'm not
right.
I'm not exempt from any of that. But yeah, I think it's very easy to see something and make it be what you want it to be versus what it might actually be. So that's also part of why we push so hard to make sure everybody that needs to be in the room is in the room, because the more viewpoints you get, the more you're gonna hear, like, where does this actually fall? Land acquisition's great, but if sales can't sell it, it's dead.
Right. We don't want to own a worthless property.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to prevent, is get so far into it and then find out, like, nope, doesn't work. Because I want the deals. And that's part of what always concerns me, is I never want to come across like a roadblock. I have the same goal as everybody else. Like, I want to have Berks build homes.
Right.
It's what I'm here for. And at the end of the day, that's what pays all of us.
Yeah.
So it's not trying to be negative, and it's never a grudge. It's never like personal. It's just, does this make sense?
Well, you want to get the deal, if it comes to you as a 7 out of 10, if you can get it to a 9, then you did your job.
Exactly.
Because you pointed something out that maybe the rest of us weren't aware of, and say, I'm just shining a light on this risk. Mm-hmm. You guys are trying to mitigate risk.
Yeah, entirely. That's all we're doing really at the end of the day, and pointing it out. Like, we're not the decision maker either. Like, I know that. I know it's not my call to be like, this is done. I can only raise my hand in a room and be like, there's some issues. Maybe we need to look at this.
Right.
Somebody else decides.
Yeah.
If that's worth taking.
Right. Yeah, but we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is that we know and we acknowledge the factors that are creating a risk. And most of the times I would say that you feel like you have a good voice in that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can always feel free to speak up. And
oh, yeah. That's the one thing that has been great about Berks in general, is it's never been like, keep quiet and don't you dare say anything.
Yeah.
Like, I feel very comfortable, and I think a lot of people do. And sometimes maybe people feel like they're getting others in trouble, but that's not what I'm not raising my hand in a room to try and be like, they didn't do their job or they should get in trouble for this. It's purely like, this is a problem.
It's
we
about
need
the
to
work.
solve it. Yeah.
Well, and to clarify too, to that point, I mean, speaking on behalf of the owners, we don't look at it that way either. We just look at the deal. I don't care if somebody even mess something up. We look at the deal, we look at the facts, and then we make decisions based off of those facts, and sometimes opinions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because sometimes it's just someone's thought that it's not going to work.
Right.
Maybe there isn't like cold hard evidence of like, this is not going to make sense, but
we've done many things by the gut. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes it works out. What's one challenge that most people don't realize happens in land acquisition?
I think it's all the moving parts. I think if you're not in it, it's very easy to be like, well, they're just looking at land and buying it. And
Yeah.
It's like,
oh boy.
yeah. And I get why people think that, because that's at its face value what it is. But it's all of those little details of like, well, a seller's feeding you certain amounts of information and it might be right and it might be wrong. And then you have like your engineer and what's your engineer saying? And is your engineer responding? And your township, because a township might not answer you for months.
They don't have to.
They have no
They don't care.
reason to. So it's kind of coordinating all of those that I see as the biggest struggle, and like keeping track of it, because that's part of the problem currently is where do we store all this information?
Yeah.
To make it visible and make it easier to track, because if you can't track all of those conversations and all of those things that maybe you haven't heard, it's very easy for one to just slip away.
Right.
I mean, it happens to all of us. If you're not tracking it, it's how do you
And that's
know?
what you guys do.
Yeah.
You
and that's
love
what
tracking.
We love tracking. Because I love to be able to go back. I love getting the email that's like, well, did this happen? And being able to pull it up and be like, yep.
Yeah, I got the receipts.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are like the CIA of Berks Homes.
Yeah.
You're like the receipt keepers, you know. And when you think of things that happen, do you ever say to yourself, well, that's never happened before and it probably will never happen again, and then it does?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Oh, yeah, all the time. All the time I'm like, well, we'll never see
That
this.
never happens.
Yeah, that's rare. That's never going to happen. It happens more times than not.
Right.
I think that we think, oh, that's a one-off.
One-off. We hear that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's just land acquisition in general. And if you tried to quantify the amount of factors in each acquisition, it's in the hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
Like which way they could go.
Yeah.
Like this thing. Yeah, maybe 9 out of 10 times it goes this way, but there's always that one.
Yeah.
And then that's just one factor out of 100.
Oh, yeah. And we're seeing it more and more, like from our department with townships and the
They're all
regulatory
different, yeah.
bodies, that it's very easy to think, well, that one township wants that form. And then all of a sudden, you're seeing it everywhere. So you might write it off and be like, that's a weird one. And now it's like, oh, no, never mind. Everyone has discovered this and thinks it's the new holy
Now we're
grail.
doing stupid foundation as-built prior to framing everywhere, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Happens all the time. We had one with like a business tax, that we had like one that showed up because we sold homes in a township and they were like, oh, you owe us money. And now we're seeing it more and more because I think they all like talked and they were like, oh, you could get extra money.
They're like, you could just tax them
just
more.
Tax them
They
a
don't
little
get
bit
taxed
more.
enough.
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. I don't like that. Don't talk about that business tax stuff. That's terrible. Well, it's an awful idea, townships. So how do we manage risk when we're taking on a new community or just a single lot? Like, just explain your process a little bit.
Yeah, I think for us, it's again the digging and getting all the details, but that only works if everybody communicates. I think communication is probably your number one risk mitigator.
Yeah.
If everybody knows all of the information, everybody can make an informed decision. I have a checklist of things I run through when we have a new deal or even during due diligence. You know, we're looking at the title, but that only shows half the picture. If I have something on title that maybe is a red flag for me, but land acquisition knows that that's going away or like an easement or whatever, I only know half of it. If they never share, oh, we know about that and that's not a problem, then it doesn't work out. And it can go like vice versa too. Like maybe we'll look something up and be like, oh, they're putting a giant road in that backyard. Do you know about that? And if nobody shares, we might proceed. Right. They're just like, oh, yeah, we knew.
Yeah.
That's the number one we hear is like, oh, yeah, I knew about that. And it's like, well, did you?
Let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. Let's share that with the class and then everybody can be aware. Because I think, again, it's all repetitive, but it goes back to that, like, it's very easy to have your blinders on. And it's easy to be like, this is my role and this isn't a problem now. But just because it's not a problem for you doesn't mean it's not a problem for someone else.
Right.
In, 5 months when we're buying the lot.
Yeah.
Or building on it. And it's all about that. It's very easy to think, well, this is just the here and now, and nobody else needs to know.
So true. I find myself the way to clarify or have everybody focus on the same goal is if you just put yourselves in the shoes of the buyer, right? That captures all parties because and that's what you guys are doing a lot because you're doing reviewing HOA documents and focusing on what is the new homeowner going to be left with at the end, and how does all these documents like craft that experience for them? You can have an easement on the yard, you can have this restriction, that restriction, whatever it is. But if you just focus on, when I say you, meaning all of us in the company, when we focus on the buyer, that will probably increase the communication at least double if you're focused on the buyer the whole time. Because if I'm focused on the buyer, then that means I have to be focused on you and your role, and then the construction team in their role and the salespeople in their role. They're all focused on the buyer then. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
That's the easiest way for me. But if you take your eye off of that, then you're just going to drop details constantly.
Yeah, because it's easy to, again, you get selfish and you go, well, I know it and I needed to know it and nobody else needs to know it. And we see it all the time too with like pushing of things because up front maybe something wasn't thought out as well, or maybe we had extra information that we didn't consider at the time. Yeah. And then all of a sudden everything is shifted. And it's like, well, did we know about it? Could we avoid it? That's my number one question. Bill probably hears it all the time from me. Every time he's like, well, this came up. And I'm like, well, how could we avoid that? Like, who was responsible for that? And did they know about it? And how could they have known about it?
Yeah. And I think one thing that is really noticeable at this point is most likely along the way, somebody knew about it always. But there's always this assessment of, is this detail like important to talk about? And my understanding of your world, compliance, legal compliance, however you want to say it, as an attorney yourself, every bullet point carries the same weight.
Oh, 100%. I'd rather everyone over-communicate. I want 100 emails and I have to delete them rather than find out in 6 months like, oh, you had that and you didn't share it.
I'd rather die, but I'm glad there's one of you.
Yeah, I'm the one. I think my whole department is the one.
Exactly.
We all love all of the information. Yes. Because, again, it goes back to, it paints helpful. The picture. It just paints the complete picture. And if you know all of it, I feel like you make a better, more informed decision.
Yes.
And you can just know out the gate, okay, this is going to push because your timeline's unrealistic. And it's not saying that we can never push it forward. I'm always a proponent of like, be a little more conservative in your timeline specifically.
Always.
And then we can...
Don't get me excited.
We can always push it forward. I'd rather you under-promise and over-deliver.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited when we're a month or two early.
Yeah.
I hate when we're in this scramble of like, oh, we got to push.
Late,
and now, what's your timeline? And now everybody's worked on all this stuff and we have to push it all. Because I think, again, it's that big picture. If you're at the front of the process, you might not know what happens at the back end. And it's not their fault. Like you have no reason to until you're like in the room with everybody. I think the starts meeting helps because you hear all of that and you go, oh, like 1 week can really just shift everything for everyone.
Tell me about that. How does your role connect you with the rest of the business, like from sales to warranty? Like, where do you guys get inserted into each part of it?
Yeah. We're involved in pretty much every department in one way or another. I don't think there's many departments we haven't had to help out at some point.
Right.
And it's not all legal problems. And I think that's another misconception that people have. I'm not just here to solve your legal issues. Yes. We are process oriented. We're detail oriented. So if you can't make sense of something, we all love to read. People just send us stuff to read it. Because we'll read it. And,
contracts, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever you need us to read. But also we get involved early on with the land acquisition, obviously, then through construction, if there are issues with purchasing, we write the trade and vendor contract, so we know that very well. The insurance side of things, sales, I write the purchase agreement contract. I checked before I came up here, there are 25 versions since I started, and I've done 19 of them.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's how much.
So you feel like you got a good handle on the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime there's questions, we're always there to answer them, or something weird comes up, we need to write an addendum to say whatever.
Yeah.
We've sold a house with like a pool at one time. We had to write a pool addendum. We've done that. So all of those things. Warranty, we're heavily involved in when there's issues, unfortunately. That's really when we get involved with warranty, but also helped facilitate the new warranty program with AHB. So we've done all of that. So we have a good grasp.
That's pretty cool. Not all departments can say that.
Yeah.
That they're across every aspect.
Yeah.
Heavily, too.
Yeah, we're very well versed in, I don't know the day-to-day, but a general idea of what everybody pretty much is doing.
Yeah, and you guys know, there's always somebody in the starts meeting. You guys know what's going on, in terms of the volume of business, and when it goes up and down. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. You're getting me excited about legal compliance here. Go back to when you got the job here. What was the first, thought in your head that you had about coming here? Was it you guys were under contract and building the house, and then you saw the ad? Like, what was it that drew you to us besides the fact that you said you like the people? Was there something about the work?
Yeah, so I started March, we closed April, so we were very far in our process by the time I started here.
Right.
I had my interview, and I believe I met with Katie, and I talked about what I kind of talked about in the beginning, when I wanted to be in a position where I felt like I could just be honest about where we were and do the right thing. I wanted to use what I know to try and do the right thing every time for people. And for here, it ends up being the home buyers ultimately. Like, I want the home buyer to walk away with a home they love as much as I genuinely love my home. And I wanted other people to feel that with home buyership, because it's hard to buy a home. And
it wasn't without its issues.
Yeah.
There's always issues.
Yeah, there's always issues.
And your community was not unique in that. It was a challenging, if I recall, it was just very unique, the community itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was an interesting process, but I remember being in my interview and just being honest that I wanted to use what I know to do good, for lack of a better way to put it. And Katie didn't look at me like I was crazy, or like I should be, or like from a business point of view. So often they use their legal departments to find like the backdoor loopholes and to kind of maybe pull one over on people. And that was not the vibe at all. It was very much like, yeah, that's what we want to do. Like, we want to do right, even if it means doing what's hard. And that really drew me, because again, coming from like law firms, it's very easy to be like, well, that's your client and you have to argue whether you agree with them or not.
Right.
And I liked that here it felt more like I could be like, no, that's not the right thing to do. Like, I know I've come to you and to Katie before and been like, we need to pay this person because we messed this up.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you're not like, well, how do we get around doing that? It's like, no, we have to do that. Like, we messed
it's not
that
even
up.
I wouldn't even entertain the thought. Just makes me feel icky.
Yeah. But some businesses do that, because I know at my real estate job, for litigation, I'd been involved in litigation with a lot of national builders, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
That tends to, they have large legal departments, and they find all the loopholes. They can
crush you.
Yeah, they can, and they want to, for lack of a better way. Like, that's what they do. That's how.
We do not like to litigate here.
No, and that was also exciting. Like, I'll never forget my first day or first week. I was like, well, how many like litigation are we actively involved in? And I think it was 1, and it is still 1.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of litigation.
Yeah.
It's
because that's not what we do.
No.
We build houses.
Yeah. And build them so that people don't want to sue you.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't avoid it, but you can certainly try your best. Yeah. No, that's always been something that we believe in, is if you can do the right thing, then you're going to be on the right side of most interactions. Do you have a favorite work memory since you've been here?
I have a few, and every thing I work on is a little different, and being with all departments gives you a lot of things that you could rely on. But I really like in like the land acquisition sphere, working on Cider's Hill was a lot of fun because Gary took me to township meetings. That was some
that's right.
some of my
Yeah.
first township meetings.
Right.
So I feel like that one has a special place for me.
Right.
That now it's like being built and sold.
And you knew what those interactions were early.
Yeah, I
getting
knew.
approved.
Yeah, I went through the approval process with him. So that was fun because I got to see that. Deerfield, similar. I went to some of those meetings. Every HOA I work on is always the most exhausting and some of the most fun work because it's so document heavy, and I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they are also exhausting.
I don't like HOAs.
No, they're a necessary evil these days because of, township requirements. Like, it's not, we want these to exist.
Right. They just, no risk on our end. Just, you guys got to deal with everything.
Yeah, that's why they exist.
Yeah, that's what we basically being told in every community at this point.
Oh, yeah. But there's very few that get away with no HOA. And that's why it really is any sort of municipality rule.
And we would ask that question if it was like, well, who's taking care of it anyway?
Yeah.
Right. If it didn't have an HOA, we would be like, well, you need one.
Yeah, because who's going to take care of all of that stuff?
Yeah, the township's not.
Yeah, if they're not taking it, who is taking that and going to maintain it? But a lot of those projects are fun. I like when I get to see something from start to finish, like a community.
Yeah.
Because those are always just exciting.
Right.
Because I feel connected to them.
You feel like you know a lot more when you were there in the beginning.
Yeah. And I also really enjoyed Elizabeth Village because of all it was chaotic in the moment when all of that shift happened.
Oh, yeah.
But that was also fun because it was like a mad dash, and it was like, how do we get this? Can we get this? And I was very involved in like arguing against the 55 up.
Yeah.
And dealing with all of that. So that was also...
That's pretty cool.
That one was different for me.
Yeah.
Because it started as like a beast of a project and turned into something that ended up being simpler for everyone. So that was rewarding too, because I got to go to sales and be like, never mind.
Yes. And we're also able, like, if you go way back, we weren't the ones that had to acquire it either. You know?
Yeah.
So simple all the way through.
Yeah.
Simpler.
Yeah, we changed that one. So that one was fun. But there's a lot of those. And there's even the smaller projects, like the warranty project was a lot of fun, the NAHB, to look into that and talk to the NAHB. And apparently nobody licensed their warranty book.
Really?
And that was the one thing I died on that hill here.
So you're like a trailblazer.
I am.
You mean no business has ever done that? Yeah.
They haven't signed license agreements. So the NAHB said in their one email. I mean, they could be wrong, but I was excited because that was the one thing when we wanted to use that. I was like, we need an agreement. Like, we need that. And now we have it virtually, which is awesome. So that we can
that saved us a boatload of money.
Saves us money, and it moves us into 2025.
Yes. It's digital.
It is digital.
Yeah, I like that. Tell me something about your counterpart, Bill.
Oh, Bill.
That Bill is our longtime attorney. I mean, I don't know how long he's been working with us, 20-some years.
I think 30-something.
30 years?
Yeah,
okay,
30.
so, I mean, I remember Bill when I was a little kid, so yeah, that would make sense. Or at least a child at some point. And Bill worked for an outside firm for basically up until, 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And he decided to spend the last few years of his career with us as our in-house counsel. And he's a dear friend of my family's at this point, and he's been around forever. And he's an encyclopedia. And you've got to learn from him day in and day out for the last couple of years. What is it like to work with Bill?
Oh, it's great. Bill is an amazing attorney, and he's a wealth of knowledge that it's almost overwhelming. And a lot of times I'll if I'm overwhelmed or a lot's going on, and maybe Stacy or Deb will be like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm just a sponge right now for all of Bill's knowledge. And sometimes it's so much, but he can spit out every fact and remembers every community and all the details.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
It's great. And he knows so much, and he's great at explaining it, and he's so calm and collected. and gives me something to aspire to, because currently I'm not as calm and collected as Bill is, and I want to be, and I'll probably get there also after 30 plus years of being a lawyer, maybe.
I think like when you're an attorney too, you're just used to dealing with issues. It's like everything's an issue that you're gonna have to solve. There's certainly an aspect of experience that dictates how you feel when you encounter something, because I'm definitely a lot more emotional when we encounter an issue than my dad is, who's Bill's age.
Yeah, because they've seen it before.
They've seen it,
They know what to do, but to me it's new, so I'm like, oh, this is bad. And he's like, no, it'll be okay.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
It's like, we'll get through it.
So, yeah, I'm assuming that you've learned a ton from sitting beside Bill.
So much.
Just listening to him talk. I've learned a ton myself just from, interacting with him. He's a tremendous asset. And the nice thing is he is one kind of an attorney, and you don't have to be exactly like him to be effective.
Yeah, and we do have, with outside counsel, people that are not like Bill, and they're still effective.
Yeah.
So you kind of get to see all of that. But Bill is like the role model of just knowing everything and staying calm and controlling a room even when you think he doesn't. That's the one thing I love about Bill. Yeah. If you're in like a hostile call with other people where they're like getting a little heated, he is very good at just like staying calm and listening and not firing off and just somehow managing that.
He knows when to interject and when not to.
Yeah, which only comes with experience.
Yeah, and it's all strategy, and he's very subtle. But what a guy! Yeah, I'm super happy for him that he's gonna, move into the next phase of his life. But we're gonna miss him a lot. And
oh yeah,
I'm gonna call him anyway. I don't care what he says. I'm still gonna call him.
I am too. Don't worry.
Just like hypothetically, as friends.
Yeah. This isn't legal advice, but
hypothetically. If you were going to tell Jess what to do on this situation. What's part of the home building process that most people don't see but should know about? So you can use your experience either as an employee or as a homeowner.
I think the number one thing that is visible but people don't realize they have is your title commitment. And
explain it.
Every time you purchase a home, you likely purchase title insurance with it. It's usually just part of the process. And
it's required for most mortgage companies.
Yeah, for most mortgage companies, it's required. So there are, random cash purchases where you might not get one, but
that's stupid, right?
Yeah, I would always recommend title insurance every single time. So with that, they run a search on your property, and what that pulls up is any sort of lien. So that means any sort of recorded order from the court against your property that is money that is owed because somebody defaulted in something, or maybe they put their property up as collateral to get a loan somewhere else. It also shows any judgments. So similar idea, just something that
like
is
a mechanic's lien, for instance.
A mechanic's lien does show up on title, and it makes it so that actually your underwriter for that insurance won't insure that. So if there's a litigation or something that you owe in response to that, you're on the hook personally. So that's what title insurance is. It's an insurance policy for you that says if there are issues with this property, the insurance company will protect me, and they will fight for me if someone should come forth and be like, no, there was a lien on this property and you didn't pay it and now you owe me. Your title insurer will have to defend you.
They're only going to give you that commitment though if they don't know anything about it, right?
That's true. Yeah, a good title company would point out that there is a claim and that they searched it and did a good job. But that's also where you see your easements, so anything that's recorded on your property, so you can figure out oh, I have a giant stormwater easement. I can't put a fence in my backyard. And there's various things. And some of them are just cool. Like you'll find like old recorded things, old recorded plans for your development that maybe look different than they do now. And you see the history of the home. If you're buying like a resale property, that's where you get your deed history, which is fun too, to just be like, oh, wow, this home was like first built in the 20s or whatever.
Yeah. Go 150 feet past the fence post. Some of the old descriptions are pretty wild.
They really are. It's like there's an X in the road, and you're like, no, there's not.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
that's been
not.
paved over a bunch. Like there is not anymore. Or they have weird markers, so that's always fun.
So you guys like to read those title commitments?
Oh yeah, I like them because they point out your risk. So that's your number one. It points out everything you need to know about on your property. As a normal homeowner, it's probably going to be your easements. That's what you're going to want to know, because it also points out your utility easements. So you get an idea of, oh, my cable runs up through the front. I can't dig there.
Sure.
Just being aware of all of that. But it also does show some random stuff sometimes. Like people might reserve coal rights. That's a big thing around here. Oil, gas, mineral. And they can reserve the underground, like you don't own underneath your home. Right. And they reserve the right to just dig there. And you're like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah. And that's really popular, like way up in the Poconos.
Like the coal country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you're like, I don't want that property then.
Yeah.
If somebody can come in and mine underneath my house.
Yep. And just start digging under it.
Yeah.
It's also a weird financial strategy for some sellers to
really
reserve those rights.
Yeah.
To be like, if you ever find oil one day under your property, I own it.
Yeah.
Which is a bizarre strategy.
That is sneaky. That sounds like something that I would not do.
No, that's a good call. But title is probably the number one thing people have access to and can see it, but they don't know what it is. Yeah. And I don't blame, nobody really explains it very well.
Yeah, it's difficult. If you understand it, it's not complicated. However, translating into layman's terms can be somewhat difficult.
Yeah, and it can be hard to read them because you're going to be like, the common misconception is you'll get an exception sheet. Yeah. And that's where all that stuff's listed out. Right. And people think, oh, that's the stuff I'm protected against. But it's the
exact opposite, right?
Yeah. They're saying, we'll protect you against every claim except if somebody sues you because of this easement. Yeah. You're on your own. Yeah. But yeah, title insurance and title commitments are the big ones, just because I think that they're a great protection and just fun sometimes, like I said, especially if you're buying older property, to figure out like, what did they do with this forever ago?
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, your definition of fun may be different than
true.
The audience's.
That is very true.
Just pointing that out.
It's incredibly true. I love to read all of that stuff in a weird way. That was another thing from my interview, because I was thinking about back on all of that coming here, and like I think it was Deb was telling me about our trade agreement, and at the time it needed to be separated out because we have the various different types of trades, and they all needed like different protection. And I remember going home to my husband and being like, they have this trade partner agreement, and it's gonna be a big project, and like have to figure out how to protect them but also separate it out. And he was like, you're crazy. Yeah. He was like,
you're like excited about this?
Yeah. And I'm like, he's like, that sounds awful. Yeah. And I'm like, no, that sounds like a great work day.
Well, I can assure you that there's a reason why the legal compliance department is rather large, because of the ownership group does not appreciate digging through all that stuff. So we appreciate you guys.
Most people don't, so we know that.
So if there's one thing, you hinted at it a little bit earlier, but if there's one common misperception about your job or the department that you'd love to clear up for your coworkers,
yes,
what is it?
We're not a roadblock, and we're not trying to be a roadblock. And everything we point out or do or say is not to get you in trouble, and it is not to call anyone out. We are merely there to present the risk to everyone and say, look, this is your pros, this is your cons. What do you want to do with this information? And also to that, it doesn't have to be a legal problem. We're there to solve all types of problems. If you have a procedure problem, we love doing that. Yes. We love digging into your process and being like, this is how you can make it better. So same vein, like if we call you out on something that you're doing, and call out might be a harsh word.
Yeah.
But
Just point out.
if we point out to you like, hey, why are you doing that? Or who needs this spreadsheet you're looking at? And maybe suggest a better way to do it or a different way to do it. It's not because we think you're doing a bad job or we think something doesn't work. We're just trying to help everybody be more efficient and mitigate risk too, because the more things we have going on and the more different areas and spreadsheets and all the different softwares, the more we're going to run into like human error.
Yeah.
Of, oh, well, that's on that spreadsheet, and then you have to pull up on that one for a different one. And how do we compare these? So that's really what we're trying to do. Is it's all from a place of love, even though you might think it's harsh.
Yeah, you're trying to get us to a 10 out of 10 in all areas. You know, if I may, some people, they don't understand that you guys are checking on and verifying multiple pieces of data all over the place on a daily basis and just saying, hey, did you know that this is a little out of whack? This is a little out of whack. Did you know that if we do this, we could run into this issue? And most of the time, we're going to rely on you guys to help us make decisions with the facts. And we're going to listen to that risk and most likely agree with it. But a lot of times we will hear it and move forward too. There's both.
Oh, yeah. You'll
never hear out of my mouth, since compliance says we shouldn't, because that's not a thing. It says it's I've decided not to do this because of this fact presented to me.
And sometimes that allows us the opportunity. We did it last week with one thing where we came back and we were like, okay, we know we want to move forward in this direction, but is there something else we could do to maybe protect ourselves that's a little less harsh than just like
it was great
not doing that? So that allows us that opportunity to explore those things as well. And that's all we're there to do. Again,
get the best of both sides.
Yeah, it's not personal. I'm here to, like you said, I'm here to get to the 10 out of 10 scenario and the least risk. But we understand that there's always going to be the option of taking the risk.
Yeah. And we're always asking, what does this look like if we do this? And again, we're just using your knowledge base and your skill sets as, a bonus. So we don't have to do all the research ourselves and, that kind of stuff. So that's a good one. It's a valuable role. So is there anything else you wanted to add? I think we've talked a lot. Yeah, this is good.
Talked a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just like, that's what we're here for. We're here to help. We want to help. No one is ever bothering us if they show up with something.
Yeah, it's like a new challenge.
Yeah, and I love it. And if I can't get to it, somebody else can. And we're all the same, that we love the problems and we love the problem solving. And we're just trying to help everyone do a better job and do it the best way they possibly can for everyone's greater good. And nothing is personal. You're never going to offend me if you don't take my advice.
No.
That's not how it works. I'm just there to say my piece and then move on. But yeah, we're there to just help everyone. That's what we want to do.
You were born for it because your name's Jess and you have the name tag Jess Squire on your door, which is that's just brilliant. I don't know who came up with that. Who got you that?
That was Deb, Stacy, and Caitlin.
Yeah, Jess Squire. That's so cool.
Yeah.
You were made to be an attorney.
I was, apparently. Yeah. I didn't know it, but
yeah.
If you asked me in 2015, I would have been like, no way.
No way.
No way.
Yeah, I'm getting away from this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here. All right. That's it. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Cue the outro music.